Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for coming to today's class. Meera, thank you so much for singing such a nice bhajan. These kind of bhajans are sung in Vrindavan. That's what's very beautiful about these bhajans, because they are singing the names of Shri Krishna and Srimati Radhika, and they're taking specific names, Govinda and Gopal. When we take these names, we're not just addressing him as Bhagavan. We're addressing him as Govinda. Do you know the meaning of Govinda, Meera? No? Anybody? Meaning of Govinda?
Take the senses.
Go means so many meanings.
Master of all the senses.
That's Rishikesh. Govinda. Go means senses also, but not master of the senses, but attractor of the senses. Then go means also cows, go mata. So one who tends to the cows or one who attracts the cows. Go also means gopas, the friend of the gopas. And go means also gopis, the beloved of the gopis. So Govinda. So it's referring to his Vrindavan pastimes. And what is Gopala? Takes care of. So Pal means Palna, meaning one who nourishes, protects, takes care of. And similarly, Go, one who takes care of our senses, one who takes care of the cows, one who takes care of the sakhas, the gopas, and one who is taken care of by the gopis. In Braj, Krishna does not take care of the gopis. Krishna is taken care of by the gopis. So Gopala. All right, so thank you very much, Meera. So before we begin, let us perform Mangalacharan. For those of you who know these, you can sing along with me. Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikayai Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vrindaya Tulsi Devyaya Priyaya Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pade Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of my beloved spiritual master, Nityalila Vishnu Paramhamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Maharaj. Also same to the lotus feet of Nityalila Vishnu Stotra Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj and all the Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga. And I pray whatever we discuss today, may it be in accordance with their Vani, with their tikas, with their bhavs, And may we be able to understand some of that rasa that is flowing within their heart, and may we be able to imbibe that within ours. Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, thank you again so much for coming. So last week we took a break because Pujapad Siddhanti Maharaj Ji was here. So that was very nice for those of you who attended. Also, we have been studying this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that is known as the Samam Bonam, the essence of all. So the first chapter, we saw the title. Does anybody remember the title of the first chapter? The Advent of Śrī Krishna. Today's title is slightly different. That is the birth of Śrī Krishna. We have discussed this already in previous classes, the difference between Advent or appearance and the birth of Śrī Krishna. So now last time we exited Mathura. Vasudeva and Devaki, the Lord appeared in front of them in this four-handed form. And Vasudeva and Devaki, we discussed last time some points about what people misinterpret, how Vasudeva and Devaki were able to have the Lord as their son. Does anybody remember these points that we brought up? Narendra Prabhu, you remember? Okay, wonderful. So Deepa Didi, why don't you come to the front and remind us? Your husband can throw you under the bus, and then, that's how you should do it. That's how you should do it. See, devotees are very clever, but they learn after the first time.
I had to watch your video to do that.
Okay, no problem. Whatever it takes. That's how we remember. I also watch my gurus, my śikṣā-guru and my diksha-guru's videos and kathas. I listen to it over and over. That's how we learn. So Didi, tell me about Vasudeva and Devaki. What did we discuss last time?
So we discussed how Dwarkadish Krishna was. He appeared to them and he took form of the little child.
Mathuresh Krishna.
Yes.
Okay. They're in Mathura, right? Not in
Yes,
Dwarka.
So he appeared and he took form of a little child, and then Mother Devaki got the pleasure of feeding the child, and after that it was miraculously how Vasudeva started taking him towards Vrindavan. He remembered of his half-brother, sorry, I'm bad with names.
Nanda Maharaj, yeah, Nanda Baba.
And then he just started taking him, and it was a very, very beautiful and something we don't know, different kind of a pastime here, where first Mother Yamuna, she really wanted to grace and take blessings of Krishna and touch his feet. So Prabhuji gave a actual picture where it is not that Yamuna is rolling, but it is giving a path, and still it's really Antur, very excited. It wants to take the blessings of Krishna, and so rises a bit, touches Krishna's feet, and then Krishna and Vasudeva is taking him across. Am I supposed to tell about that?
You can tell whatever you like.
Yeah, the most
Whatever you remember.
beautiful learning, which was very touching, was Krishna went in the water, and then when they reached Vrindavan, it appeared back in the form of Vrindavan Krishna. Until then it was Mathura Krishna with a different mood, the mood where the parents and everyone, the entire community, they all believe he's the king. And then he came to Vrindavan, where he's a child.
No. Where do they see him as king? Do they see him as king in Mathura? Was he king of Mathura?
They all saw the form of Vishnu, the original.
So do they see him as king or do they see him as Bhagavan?
Yes.
Where do they see him as king?
Then
Dwarika. Where's Dwarika, Prabhu? In your hometown, Gujarat. All right. So in Gujarat, in Dwarka, they see him as king. Okay. In Mathura, there is a mix of Aishwarya, Madhurya, sweetness, and opulence. Wonderful. Okay. So they don't see him as king there, but they know he is Bhagavan.
Yes. So he's Bhagwan. Until then, he was carrying him on the head because he's Bhagwan. But as soon as he came to Vrindavan, he started carrying him in the lap because he's now the child. Then movement changed by getting him there. And then Prabhuji also brought him when Akrura came to get them back to Mathura. At that time, Balram and Krishna, they were grown-up boys. And again, they looked at him in water in the Yamuna and came back. After that, Akrura came and he took a bath and he saw both Krishna's and Balram's Vrindavan once in the water and king, the god once in the Mathura form.
Okay. What else? Anything else?
In the beginning, you mentioned about the demigods, they all took form as Krishna's letters and they started living in Vrindavan. And for us, there was an instruction that we shouldn't we all carry a Dvesh Bhava for Indra and other demigods that they are kind of selfish. So we are not supposed to offend them, and that is also a limb of bhakti, not offending a demigod or any more qualified person that qualifies us as a bhakta, as a devotee.
Yes. Very nice point. Anything else? Drone.
Yeah, that was a big discussion. So there was this pastime where Drona and Dhara, they performed a very, very senior penance to become parents of Krishna.
Which parents?
The Vrindavan parents, Yaśodā and Sutapā. And there was a big question that there are already his parents as eternal associates in Golok. Then how come anyone can take their place? So there was a whole, I don't know if I understood that correctly.
Okay.
But there were some conclusions drawn. One was they can be associates or helpers of the original Papa and Yaśodā. And then while the original ones are serving in Golok, they appeared in this world and served as Krishna's parents. Another form is if we have that kind of a goal where we want to get there, then there's a scope for us as well.
But we don't replace them.
Yes, we never replace them because they are always there.
Wonderful. Anything else? I think so. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. Anybody else remember anything? I think she stole the show. Huh? Yeah?
I remember the commentaries that you gave about.
I didn't give. Gurudev gave. What was that? And what did Gurudev say?
You talked about that our Gurudev gave the commentary when Vasudev Maharaj was bringing Mathuresh Krishna on his head in the basket. When the Yamuna Maharani split for him to cross over the Yamuna river to go to Nanda Baba's home to drop off Mathuresh Krishna for his safety. At that time, you said, our Gurudev mentioned that Krishna, Mathuresh Krishna, went in river Yamuna. And when it was the land of Vrindavan, I'm sorry, I don't remember word by word, but you said when Vasudev Maharaj went closer to the shore, when it was the land of Vrindavan, at that time from Yamuna Maharani, Vrindavaneshwar, Brajendra Nandan, Shyam Sundar Krishna came in the past.
She mentioned this, yes.
And the other commentary you said, Akrur, Krur means cruel, means not cruel. But his name is Akrur, who was assigned, unfortunately by Kams, to bring Vrindavan Krishna back to Mathura so that the Kams can kill him. At that time, all the gopis called him, "You are not Akrur, you are cruel, because you are taking our Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar away from us." So, on the way of Akrur bringing Vrindavan Krishna and Brajendra Balram, at that time they stopped at one place. It was a river. Later it was called Akrur Ghat after Shri Krishna took a bath. And at that time, at first, I don't know, I remember everything. At first, it was Mathuresh Krishna and Mathuresh Balram. Sorry, Vrindavan Krishna and Vrindavan Balram went inside the ghat. They took a bath and then came outside. After that, it was turned for Akrur to go to take a bath. As soon as he takes a dip in that ghat, inside he could see Shri Krishna and Balram. However, he's like, I just saw them outside on the bank. And as soon as he got up, he can see them again. Then he went back in the water, he can see them inside in the water too. So he's like, he didn't have a Braj bhav, he had a Mathura bhav that, oh, he's a Lord. Oh, Lord can play Leela, he can be anywhere and everywhere, he's in every atom and molecule. So, but at that time you said our Gurudev gave a very beautiful commentary that outside what he could see is Mathuresh Krishna and Balram, and inside in that ghat was Vrindavan, Brajendra Nandan Shyam Sundar Krishna and Brajendra Balram, because they never left Sri Vrindavan. Externally it looks like they left, but internally they never left Sri Vrindavan, both of them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Didi, for a detailed commentary. That's very nice. So, Akrur, I'll just take a side note here. You may remember from the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, there was one verse that stated that when Kans was very worried about becoming killed by the sons of Devaki, then he also became very worried about the Yadu dynasty as a whole, the whole Yadu family. Because he had heard from Narad Muni that the Devis and Devas, they're taking birth in the Yadu dynasty family. So he would also terrorize many of the members of the Yadu family. Some members of the Yadu family ran away, but some members took shelter of Kans. They became his servants. Now you may think, well, why would they do such a thing? Right? After all, they know that Kans is an evil villain, let's say. Why would they take shelter of him? So Akrur was one of those persons who took shelter of Kans, and he became his minister. But Akrur is a great devotee, actually. So one can get confused. Why is this? Akrur is on the one hand becoming a minister of Kans. On the other hand, he's a devotee of Shri Krishna. So our Acharyas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, comments on this point. And he said, on the one hand, they face the dilemma of being under the service of a demon. But a devotee thinks very differently. He thinks, oh, for the external purposes of what I have to do, I'll take shelter of this Kans. Because, why? Because in Kans's kingdom, there will always be talk of what Krishna is doing. After all, Kans is sending his spies, Kans is sending so many demons, and all of them are coming back and being killed. So the spies come back and say, Kans Maharaj, Putana ka vad hua. Putana has been killed. So when Akrur hears this, externally he may appear sad, but internally he's very relieved that, oh, my dear Krishna, he is safe. So in this way, sometimes the acharyas say, sometimes the devotee may take shelter of an externally unfavorable situation, but internally their minds are always on the Lord. So Akrur was a great devotee, even though he was the minister of Kans. So that was a very nice point. But for the Vrajavasis, Akrur is known as Krur, because he was the one that took away Shri Krishna and Shri Balaram from their eyesight. All right, so let's continue on. Today we will discuss the birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. There was, yes. Yes.
When we mentioned that when Krishna was coming in the basket at the border, so feeling changed because he had a mixed feeling of opulence also and the parenthood also. So at the border of Braj, the feeling changed. And at the same time, when we see Akrur, when he went to fetch Krishna, he said he is Lord, he can do anything. When he saw in water also and outside also. So is it when the mixed feelings person goes to Braj, always the feeling will go to the prema more, or it will always remain, the mixed will always remain there?
So they both, so let's not mistake the word prema. Prema is not exclusive to Brajavasis. The Mathura Vasis also have prema for the Lord. Even the Dwarka Vasis have prema for the Lord. But the mood of that prema is different. That is the point here. But those who are in Mathura, this is by Śrīla Sanatana Gosvāmī, this is very clearly explained. And we have mentioned this many times in this class using the example of Hanumanji. For Hanumanji, Bhagavan Ram is everything. Even if you put Krishna in front of him, he will look at him as Lord Ram. He will only see Lord Ram. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to sing Krishna's name. Krishna, 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 Ram, Ram, Ram comes out. So the swabhav or the nature of that devotee is fixed. We cannot change that. But when Vasudeva, what I said was when Vasudeva went and crossed the Yamuna, when he crossed the border from Mathura to Braj, then instead of holding his child here, he then placed him on his head. Because even the Mathura Vasis, they get some hint, some understanding that this Braj Prem is very exalted, very high. The case and example here is Uddhav. When we get to that story, maybe years from now at the pace we're going, then we understand what Uddhav thinks when he goes and meets the gopis of Vrindavan, the Brajavasis. He's a Mathura Vasi. Actually, he's Dwarka Vasi. Then he crosses to Mathura and then he crosses to Vrindavan. What his mind is blown. Gurudev says that he goes to the school of the gopis and that's where he learns, oh, this kind of prema I've never seen. So like this. But the Mathura Vasis, the Dwarka Vasis, they may appreciate it, but they retain their own nature. You'll not see that Vasudeva wants to go to Vrindavan. No, he is happy in Mathura, just like Hanumanji is very happy in Ayodhya, Saketa. Okay? Make sense? Okay. So let's not use the word prema incorrectly and assume only the Brajavasis have prema. They have a very special prema that we can say. All right? Okay, so let us continue here. There was one point here, I'm so happy Krishna is here because now he can recite the verse. That there was one point that we missed on Devaki and Vasudeva. And we talked about Drona and Dhara, as Didi mentioned last time. But we also should know a little bit about Vasudeva and Devaki. So Vasudeva was known as Sutapā and Devaki was known as Pṛśni. So Krishna, will you please recite this verse? Śrī Bhagavānu Vāca Tvam eva purva sarge bhu Pṛśni svayam bhuve sati Tadayam Sutapā Nama Prajapati Akalmashaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, best of the chase, in your previous birth, in the Swayambhuva millennium, you were known as Pṛśni, and Vasudeva, who was the most pious Prajapati, was named Sutapā."
All right, so this is when, let's go back for a second. This is when the Lord first appears to Vasudeva and Devaki in the jail cell. And there, Pṛśni and Sutapā, Devaki and Vasudeva, they are heaping praises on the Lord when he appears. Oh, you are so beautiful. You have four-handed form. You are the controller of the worlds. Like this, through the mood of opulence and Bhagavata. Then the Lord responds and tells them, oh, you may not remember, but let me remind you of your previous appearance. You were known as Pṛśni and Sutapā. And you performed great tapasya. So last time we heard about Drona and Dhara's tapasya. This time we will hear of Pṛśni and Sutapā's tapasya. So Pṛśni and Sutapā, they were ordered to create progeny in this world. That's why here it's mentioned Swayambhuv Manu. Swayambhuv Manu is the first Manu, or the first human created by Lord Brahma. And so they appeared in this age. Now Manu was tasked with creating progeny and filling the world up with various human beings. Pṛśni and Sutapā were also known as a Prajapati. Prajapati means Praja, not kingdom, but let's say residents of a kingdom, the Praja. And Pati means one who brings them about, or one who represents, or like a husband brings the son into existence. Similarly, the Prajapati is the husband of the one who brings the Praja into existence. So they were tasked with this, but unfortunately they could not have a child. So due to this, they performed severe tapasya, and they performed tapasya as described for 12,000 years. You can imagine, we cannot perform tapasya for 12 minutes, maybe not even 12 seconds. I'm speaking for myself. They performed tapasya for 12,000 years. Now, Pṛśni and Sutapā, when they performed this tapasya, the Lord appeared in front of them after this tapasya. And the Lord asked them, oh, I'm very pleased with your tapasya. What would you like from me? And then Pṛśni, in great enthusiasm, said, Prabhu, we want a child. But not only just any child, we want a child like you. Okay? So the Lord says, oh, very nice. Tathastu, may it be so. But it's described he has a mild smile when they ask him this. Like a little smirk. Thank you, perfect. When you smirk, you have a little bit of a cheeky behavior. I don't know if you understand that term. Like when my kids smirk, then I know they're up to no good. Similarly, the Lord also smirked. And when he smirked, he thought, oh, what a nice boon they're asking for. But they asked for someone like me. They didn't ask for me. And then he begins thinking, but in this world, there's nobody like me. So what do I do? But he said, they have asked me for like me, not for me. But on the other hand, nobody's like me. So what to do? So then he says to them, I will become your son for 3 births. Not just this birth, not just as Pṛśni and Sutapā, but I will become for 3 births. So Pṛśni and Sutapā then in their next appearance become Muni or Rishi Kashyap and Aditi. And they are the mother father of all the demigods. So Kashyap and Aditi have one son who is Lord Hemadidi, do you know? Lord Vamandev. Lord Vaman, who is the dwarf incarnation of the Lord. And he does his pastime. You all may have seen that Krishna serial or other serials where he goes and asks for 3 steps of land, then he becomes really big, and then he takes everything from Bali Maharaj. So he appears as Lord Vamandev. So it's described by our acharyas, because they asked for the son like the Lord, then the Lord appeared in front of them as his ansha, that is his incarnation. He didn't appear as complete form. So in this birth also, in Vasudeva and Devaki, then does Krishna appear as original Krishna, or does he appear as his ansha, or his expansion as Vishnu? So the acharyas are very, remember, every word I've said, any word that the Bhagavatam, the Puranas write, or the acharyas write, it's very particular why they use that word. So it's described here that one should be very careful when they're doing their tapasya, upasana, sādhana-bhajana, etc. and what they ask for. We always say in this class, one day the Lord might appear in front of you. Make sure you know what to ask for. Because he'll give you something, but make sure you ask in a perfect way. That's why we learn all these little details, so that we can practice makes perfect. When the Lord appears, you should have your wish list ready. Okay? So in any case, this is why Vasudeva and Devaki never actually gave birth to the supreme complete Lord, that is Śrī Kṛṣṇa. All right, so this was one point that I wanted to bring up because it was really described. Go ahead, Prabhu, can you read it? Yes, Prabhu. And Pṛśni and Sutapā, he appeared as Pṛśni Garbha. That was their son's name. Pṛśni Garbha. Pṛśni Garbha is one expansion of one of Mekyavatal. The four expansions from Vishnu, that is Aniruddha, Pradamna, Sankarshana, and Vasudeva. Then he is the one, I believe, from Sankarshana, who expands further, and then he becomes Pṛśni Garbha. That means son of Pṛśni, actually. So Pṛśni Garbha, Vamandev, and Lord Vishnu, who appears in front of Vasudeva Devaki. Yes?
So what was the reason they weren't able to have kids? Was Yaśodā Maiyyā the one arranging that, so that way this pastime occurred?
So remember, we talked about this last time with Dhron and Dara, and maybe Didi, you'll now get some clarification. Yeah, they are an ansh, or they can also be considered, depending on which commentary you read, they can also be considered as they are doing their sādhana-bhajana, and then they finally achieve the perfection. They get the chance to be the father and mother, and then when they go back to Golok Vrindavan or Dwarka, Mathura, etc., then they get their chance to be under the service of the eternal mother and father of Krishna, that is Yaśodā Maiyyā and Nanda Baba. Okay? All right, without more complication, let's move further. Go ahead. Let's just read the translation due to time. We have a lot to cover.
After the expiry of 12,000 celestial years in which you constantly contemplated me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion, and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benediction, I appeared in this same form as Krishna to ask you to take from me the benediction you desire. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me.
All right, so we've discussed this point, and this is what the Lord says in front of Pṛśni and Sutapā. All right, so we have, let's continue on now, going to Vrindavan, entering Vrindavan. Let us get our hearts and minds in that mood of the Vrajavasis. So today we're going to share some beautiful realizations of our acharyas, and also some, hopefully, new things we want to learn about Śrī Krishna's birth in Vrindavan. One of my śikṣā-gurus said that why does lack of enthusiasm happen in Krishna consciousness? When we are performing our bhakti practice, some days feel good, some days not so good. Is that right? Some days we feel enthused and inspired to perform bhakti, other days it's a drag. Can you get me out of this? Can I skip a day, etc. Why is that? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, that is because we are not learning something new. When we learn something new, we get reinvigorated. Wonderful. That's a perfect word, reinvigorated. Look, your mother is so impressed by that word. reinvigorated. Why? Because Krishna and Krishna consciousness is always ever fresh and new. There is no shortage of newness. It's described when the gopis see Krishna, they see him every day. Every moment they're thinking of him. But when they see him, it's as if they've seen him for the first time. Because he looks ever fresh and ever new. So why not his Leela also ever fresh and ever new? Because as devotees, our acharyas, some may wonder, well, why is there 10 commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam? Because every acharya is looking at each Leela, each pastime, from a slightly different angle. For example, Krishna, to me, he's looking like the son of Hema, right? Wearing a blue kurta and white pajama pant. But to maybe Hema Didi, she looks at him as, he is my son. As Radha looks at him, he's my brother. Prabhu may look at him, he's my friend. Everyone has a different, slightly different angle, though it is the same Krishna. So similarly, everyone also looks at Sri Krishna in a slightly different way. And when we see that different ways, then we put together this beautiful picture and painting that, oh, look at how he appreciates. Look at how she appreciates. So in this way, we can develop this very beautiful understanding of how Sri Krishna is to all the devotees. Now, we have discussed that Vasudeva takes Krishna across the Yamuna river. Now, Didi mentioned Yamuna Mata. So I will you mentioned Maharani, but she mentioned Yamuna Mata. So with this, I'd like to just clarify one point, if you don't mind. Yamuna river is a Devi, yes? Just like Ganga Devi, right? Gange che Jamune chaiva Gaudavari Devi, Saraswati Devi, Narmada Devi. We say that in Sanskrit. Now, Devi means exalted lady, okay? Or someone who is very elevated. Now, Yamuna Devi, Deepa Didi, is she in Vrindavan or is she in Mathura? Connecting both of them. She's like the border. Okay? But Yamuna Devi is desirous of attending or being part of the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan. So everything in Vrindavan is transcendental. Nothing is jada, meaning without consciousness. Even the leaves, the trees, even the dust of Vrindavan actually is conscious. Later on, we will see when Brahma commits a sin, not a sin, he commits a mistake, then you will see he's praying, can I become the dust of Vrindavan? Now, Brahma, the creator of the universe, he wants to become a chinna, a dust of Vrindavan. So this dust is also not ordinary. It is conscious. Similarly, Yamuna is a personality, a Devi, not just a body of water. Now, Yamuna Devi, she is participating in the pastimes of Sri Krishna and Sri Radha in Vrindavan as a Devi, as a gopi. So, for the Vrajavasis, would they refer to their gopi, their fellow gopi, as mother, or would they refer to as Sakhi or Devi? Would we say Radha Mata? No. We'll say Radha Sakhi or Radha Devi, Devi or Sri Radha. But we will not say Yamuna Mata. So Gurudev, in one video, he says, even though you may not understand this mood, try to understand that they are not Yamuna Mata, Ganga Mata, etc. Instead, we can say Maharani, Yamuna Maharani, or Yamuna Devi. In this way, we will also develop that Braj mood. All right? So, if you don't mind, I hope you don't mind, that Yamuna Devi. So, Vasudeva is crossing Yamuna Devi. She gives him the path, as we've described, and as these devotees described. Now, when he approaches, he goes to Vrindavan, and he sees it's the middle of the night. Remember, Krishna appeared at midnight. So it's the middle of the night. Now everybody's sleeping. Everybody's sleeping, and he sees that this is like a farm village, There's so many cows, there's so many trees. And at night, in the daytime, the cows go grazing, but at night, they bring them back. And in order to prevent them from going grazing again, they put also fences around the cows. So Vasudeva, he's carrying, it's raining, Vasudeva is carrying Krishna, but then he's wondering, how do I cross these fences? There's so many fences around Maharaj Nanda's house. So there it is described that Yogamaya Devi does another, similar to freeing of the jail cell, putting everybody to sleep, releasing of the shackles, the doors opening. Similarly, the fences all of a sudden open to allow Vasudeva into the house of Nanda Maharaj. Now, when he enters the house of Nanda Maharaj, then due to the influence of Yogamaya Devi, he knows exactly where to go. And in his mind, the Acharyas describe that he's completely focused on how do I save my son? Because he knows that Kans wants to kill my son. He's 100% focused, I need to do this to save my son. I need to do this to save my son. Now, in this world, just like a father, he may even go so far as to even commit a crime in order to save his son. Prabhu, would you, for life and death matter of your son, would you be willing to even go to jail for him? Would you be willing to commit a crime? Is there any fault? That is the love you have for your son, right? There is no fault in this vatsalya bhav. That is the mood of loving the Lord as a parent. So when Vasudeva goes into Yaśodā Maiyya's, bhavan. What's the word for bhavan? Room, I guess. But she's a queen, right? So it's not just an ordinary bedroom like mine. She's a queen, she has a bhavan. So when he goes there, he sees Mother Yaśodā laying down. And he sees a beautiful daughter, a beautiful girl who has just taken birth. Now, when he sees this daughter, he decides, now Yogamaya Devi has put everyone to sleep except for Vasudeva. Then he decides, in order to save my son, I will put my son here and I will take this daughter with me. Because Kans will know that a birth has taken place. So I need to bring a child in order to give it to him. But I want that my son be saved. So even though it may appear that this is very selfish, maybe someone may accuse him of doing something like a crime. How can you do this? The Acharyas describe that in the mood of the Vatsalya parents, those who have deep loving affection as a parent, there is no fault to Vasudeva, even though he's described as one who always speaks the truth and one who always does a righteous thing. So because the duty of a parent is higher than duty of just being a good citizen, right? You're willing to go to jail, even though that's breaking the duty of a good citizen. So this is why Vasudeva does this. Now when Vasudeva does this, he puts Krishna down on the bed. He takes his Anuj, his younger sister, and he puts him in the basket. And then it's described he returns back to Mathura and everyone's still sleeping. He goes back into the cell. He closes the door, he puts on the shackles again, and he acts like nothing has happened. So, in the meantime, you can see here this picture of Vasudeva placing the child next to Mother Yaśodā. And it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Mother Yaśodā is also being influenced by Yogamaya. And our acharyas describe that just as a mother who gives birth to a child experiences great pain when the child comes out. For those of you who are mothers, you may remember that time, whether it was in the hospital or somewhere. When the child comes out, one experiences great pain. Now, Didi, do you mind if I pick on you for a second? So when you were at the hospital, I'm guessing, okay, you gave birth to your first child, you are experiencing great pain at that time. Perhaps you're grabbing Śrīla Prabhu's hand and screaming at him like they say in the movies. Yeah, okay, you were a mess. But she wishes you were a responsible husband at the time. Anyhow, she's going through this pain and suffering. And imagine, of course, nowadays they give you some this and that. Yeah, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Epidural. Yeah. Nowadays, in that time, of course, there was no such thing. And there was no such doctor above them coaching them or whatever they do, right? So in any case, the pain that a mother goes through is extremely high. I think it's described that there is no pain like this in the entire world when a child comes out. So, Didi, when you're, I don't know if you knew whether it was going to be a boy or a girl, but let's say you didn't know it was going to be a boy or a girl. Now, when you're giving birth, and this is happening, you're going through so many emotions and so much physical pain that when the child actually comes out, are you conscious of everything that is happening at that time? It's a little bit of a whirlwind. Would you agree? Am I mistaken here? Okay. And are you conscious, is it a boy, is it a girl, is it a boy, is it a girl? No, you're just conscious that may the child come out safely and soundly. Now, you're not worried about boy or girl at that point. Maybe 2 days before you were, and 2 days after you say, oh, I got my son or daughter. Similarly, when Mother Yaśodā is being described as giving birth to Kṛṣṇa, when she's going through the pain and, I wouldn't say suffering, but the moods of going through giving birth to a child, then our Acharyas describe she becomes overwhelmed with the amount. Remember, no epidural, no nothing. So she becomes overwhelmed with that. And then after giving birth to the child, she immediately just wants to take rest. Would you agree, Didi, that you want to? You're happy the child is safe. You saw the child, he's safe, she's safe. Maybe Sridhar Prabhu took the child, the doctor took the child, and then you say, oh. Now, imagine if no lights, no doctor, no Sridhar. In those days, the husband was not present when childbearing was happening. Only the nurses, the sakhis or the friends of Mother Yaśodā were there. Now she just says, please give me some rest. And when she gives rest, then she also, by the influence of Yogamaya Devi, falls asleep. Now, in this chapter, it is called the birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. That is because our Acharyas describe that Mother Yaśodā, now here Kṛṣṇa is not appearing in front of Mother Yaśodā. He has actually taken birth from her, just like an ordinary son takes birth. So one may think, well, he's the Supreme Lord. How can this be possible? He should not be taken birth like this. He should appear like this. He is God. Things should be magical and mystical. For you, dear devotees who think like this, Mathura is your place. You're welcome to go to Mathura and you see Kṛṣṇa appearing in four-handed form. You got your magic and your mystic and you're very happy. He's the Supreme Lord. But for those who want to have an intimate familial relationship, that he's a member of my family, then that cannot come when you think of the Lord as the Supreme Lord. So it's described when Mother Yaśodā sees Kṛṣṇa. Now, Devaki sees Kṛṣṇa and she immediately recognizes him as the Supreme Lord because he has four-handed form. Now, Yaśodā sees Kṛṣṇa for the first time and it's described that she also thinks, my son is the Supreme. Didi, when you had your first child, did you think your son or daughter, your son is the older one, correct? Yes. Your son is the Supreme, the best amongst all, yeah? And even today, you think he is the best amongst all children. Though he may be a nutcut, though he may be not following, he's still the best for you. So Mother Yaśodā thinks that he is supreme, but it ends there. Doesn't think he's the Supreme Lord. She thinks he's the Supreme. And it's described she's enchanted by his beauty, his madhurya, because he's my son. So when Mother Yaśodā sees this, she then takes rest due to the influence of Yogamaya Devi. Now, Vasudeva is a Mathuravasi. He sees his son as the Supreme Lord. And his duty as a servant of that Lord is to rescue him, to save him as his child. Now, it's described that due to the influence of Yogamaya, he does not actually see Vrindavan Kṛṣṇa. He does not actually see him Because after all, those who perceive the Lord in that mood, they don't have a vision for this. But when he places Krishna as a child, then our acharyas describe that Mathura Krishna then merges into that baby Krishna. That's why you see here, he's placing Mathuresh Krishna with the child of Krishna, who is the son of Mother Yaśodā. So here you can see also, and I'm not sure if the artist really desired this when he or she painted it, but this is what I thought of when I saw this. You can see Vasudeva is holding the child, and there is a radiance around the child, a halo. But do you see the same halo and radiance on the child on the bottom? No. That's because this is my feeling, the Brajavasis have no feeling of such halo or radiance needed. But Vasudeva thinks that I'm saving my child, but instead that child then merges with Vrindavan Krishna, because Vrindavan Krishna is the complete, full manifestation of the Lord. Another point here that's made is Yaśodā Maiyyā. She thinks her son is the supreme because he is my dear son. And she is completely unaware of what has happened. So when she wakes up in the morning and she sees that, oh, I have given birth to a son, a child, then she remembers, oh, yes, the pain and suffering, or the pain and emotions that I went through. And then immediately all great joy is being taken place in Nanda Bhavan. Remember, Nanda Baba and Yaśodā Maiyyā are actually very elderly. They're approximately described, I think, around... No, I think it's described that they're roughly around 60 plus years old. So imagine having a child after so long waiting, then finally a child has entered into the home of a king, of a queen, right? Then all the Brajavasis are joyous and jumping. Oh, beta hua, beta hua, beta hua, Nanda ka putra hua, Nanda ka lala hua, Nanda ka lala hua, Nanda ke ananda bhayo, jai kanhaiya lal ki. So in this way, all of this joy is happening in Nanda Bhavan. Vasudeva, on the other hand, when he takes, this is another zoomed in photo of there, then when Vasudeva takes the Anuja, or the daughter, to Kans, then of course, we all know, hopefully, what happens to Kans in that case. Anyway, let's read this Bhagavatam verse and then we'll move forward. Sorry? Yes, Didi, go ahead.
So, the Yoga Maya, I'm assuming that she plays a role that Yaśodā does not know that she had a girl, right?
Yes, correct. So, she gives birth to, our acharyas described, twins. First Krishna comes out, and then Yogamaya Devi comes as his sister. That's why she is known as Anuja. There's I don't want to get it, it's too detailed. Purana, there's a commentary on one of the verse where she's referred to as the Anuja, or the younger sister of Krishna. Then the acharyas say this is the proof. After all, if she appeared somewhere else, then why would they call her Anuja? Because she actually is the younger sister of Krishna. Okay, go ahead. Just try your best. Nanda Vrajam Shaurupetya Tatratan Gopan Prasuptaha Upalabhya Nidraya Sutam Yaśodā Shayane Nidayatat Sutam Upadaya Punargrihan Agat.
When Vasudeva reached the house of Nanda Maharaj, he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. Thus, he placed his own son on the bed of Yaśodā, picked up her daughter, an expansion of Yoga Maya, and then returned to his residence, the prison house of Kṛṣṇa.
All right, so we heard this, and then let us continue. Yaśodā Nanda Patni cha Jatam Param Abhudyata
Shranta
Nata lingam parishranta
Nidraya Bhagata Smriti.
Nidraya Pagata Smritihi.
Exhausted by the labor of childbirth, Yaśodā was overwhelmed with sleep and unable to understand what kind of child had been born to her.
All right, so we've heard this. Let's continue. So some may, our acharyas then say, that some may think that why is Krishna known as the son of Devaki? After all, most famously, everyone knows him as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Only some know him as the son of Maharaj, Nanda and Yaśodā. So this beautiful commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna, can you read this commentary?
The fact that Krishna was also born to Yaśodā is not very well known. Because Yaśodā and Devaki were friends, Yaśodā gave her fame to Devaki and allowed Devaki to become famous as the mother of Krishna. The name Yaśodā means to give or dadati, fame, Yashoda.
Okay, so let's pause here. So Mother Yaśoda's name in itself, Yash-da. Yash का मतलब क्या है? Fame. और da मतलब dena. So Mother Yaśodā had a nature that she always wanted to give fame to others. She wanted that her son have all fame, Krishna. She wanted that Nanda Baba, we say Nanda Nandan. Very few say Yaśoda Nandan. Mostly people say Nanda Nandan. But more than that, she also wanted that her dear friend Devaki also take credit. So therefore, she gave that yash to Devaki as the mother of Krishna. Please continue.
However, the name Devaki is also another name of Mother Yaśodā, as stated in the Brihad Vishnu Purana. Dve namni Nanda Bharayaya Yaśodā Devi
Iticha, Devaki iticha. Sakhyam avutasya devakya shauri jayaya.
The wife of Nanda had two names, Yaśodā and also Devaki. Therefore, it was natural that she, the wife of Nanda, developed friendship with Devaki, the wife of Shauri or Vasudeva.
Shauri Vasudeva. All right, so Yaśodā Maiyyā was very humble, very, very, we can say, not desirous of fame for herself. Therefore, she gave credit to Devaki Maiyyā as the mother of Śrī Krishna. So this is one mood of the those who are having motherly affection towards Śrī Krishna in Vrindavan. All right, so we're going to wind up here pretty soon. But I showed you this picture last time describing the border of Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual world. So in Golok Vrindavan, it's described as 1,000 times 1,000 million petaled lotus, and how that lotus expands and shrinks as necessary to accommodate the various pastimes of Śrī Krishna. Now, on the outside of Braj is Mathura, those who have a mix of opulence, Aishwarya and Madhurya Ras in them. And on the outside of that is Dwarka, those who have only the opulence Ras. You can see here from hearing the stories and hearing the commentaries of the Acharyas, what the different rasas, the different moods and mellows of hearing the same pastime, and what each devotee is thinking throughout this pastime. So when Vasudeva goes back to Kansa's jail cell, then again he he shackles himself up, and immediately, almost like on cue, then it's described that that daughter begins crying. So you can imagine, for those of you who remember, at least I remember very vividly, I still remember every day now, the kids crying is very loud. All right, so kids crying is also very specific. It's a shriek, it hits the ear right away, you know this, Prabhu, and everyone in the jail cell then wakes up. When all the jail cell wakes up, it's described that the jail keepers, they were like dogs. Now what happens if at night, if you're in India ever, then at least at my uncle's house for sure, when you're sleeping and if there's any noise, then immediately what happens? The dogs start barking. And when one dog barks, all the rest of the dogs start barking. And then they just don't be quiet for a really long time. So similarly, these jail cell keepers, they're like dogs. As soon as they hear the child, they immediately start barking. Oh, there's a child, there's a child. Maharaj Kans has told me. And so they run up to Maharaj Kans. Now, Maharaj Kans is described in the Bhagavatam that he has completely disheveled hair when he's in his bedroom. And he cannot sleep at all. He has not been sleeping for days and weeks and months. Why? Huh? He's worried. Eighth child is coming. I'm going to die. If you knew you were going to die, Prabhu, you wouldn't sleep at night very easily. So he's disheveled hair, he's unshowered, unkept, his eyes are bloodshot red, and he's already awake. And when the dogs come in, then he immediately knows, oh my gosh, it is time for death. And he says, Kal has arrived. Now Kal, Prabhu, what does Kal mean? No. What does Kal mean, Prabhu? No, in Hindi? Time. So the Lord in Bhagavad Gita says, I am Kal, because time eventually destroys all things. No president will live forever despite their major attempts to do so. Right? Time will eventually take care of it. Similarly, Kans feels Kal has arrived. Now when he's thinking, he doesn't know what to do, he's scared, he's not sure, and then he says, let me kill it immediately. If I kill it now, there's no chance of him killing me later. Now when Kans, he goes down, his dogs are barking behind him, and he goes down, and then he sees, wait, it's a girl. It's a girl, not a boy. Then he becomes even more confused. But they told me that the eighth son will kill me. What is this? What is that? And then he becomes confused. And then because he has such a demoniac mentality, he says, to hell with it. I don't care if it's a boy or if it's a girl. I'm going to kill her anyways. Now Devaki, she's gripping her daughter, and she's also very cunning. Devotees are very cunning. She knows that her son is gone. She knows this is not her daughter, but she grips her as if she's very, very attached to her. Nahi bhaiya, no brother, you are such a wonderful king. No, don't take my daughter away, she's a girl. They said it was a son. This is not it. Don't kill my daughter. After all, she's your niece. How can you be so cruel? Fine, it's okay, you killed my previous sons, but don't take my daughter away from me. And internally she knows, Mera beta to bilkul theek hai. My son is very much safe. So in this way, Kans, of course, with his demoniac mentality, he is unable to control himself. He grabs the daughter and he immediately goes upstairs and he says, I will dash her to a stone. I will throw her on a stone and finish her immediately. When Kans does this, he becomes very, very angry. It's described he's fearful, he's angry, he's got a whirlwind of emotions. He thinks he's finally got to the conclusion of saving his own life. And then what happens? The daughter then comes out of his arms, rises in the sky, and takes the form of Durga Devi. So Krishna, can you please read the translation of the verses of Śrīmad Bhagavatam?
Śrīla Gosvāmī continued, piteously embracing her daughter and crying. Devaki begged Kamsa for the child, but he was so cruel that he chastised her and forcibly snatched the child from her hands. Having uprooted all relationships with his sister because of intense selfishness, Kamsa, who was sitting on his knees, grasped the newborn child by the legs and tried to dash her against the surface of the stone.
Can you imagine? He's sitting, just put this in your mind. He's sitting on the ground on his knees. He grabs her by the legs. You know, can you imagine grabbing a baby by their legs? That means he has zero care. You know, we would hold like this at least. And he's just about to dash her on the stone, and then?
The child, Yaśodā Maiyyā, the younger sister of Lord Vishnu, slipped upward from Kamsa's hands and appeared in the sky as Devi, the goddess Durga. with 8 arms, completely equipped with weapons.
So remember when we had our discussion about Shishirada Govinda Ki Jai, when we had our discussion about Yogamaya Devi, I had asked Kailash Prabhu, I showed a picture of Durga Devi at the time, and she had 8 arms, you may remember. And I asked you, would you like to be present in front of one who carries the sword, who carries a head of a dead demon? Would you like that? No, she's very fearsome. And only then I circled one hand. What was she doing at that one hand? She was blessing. That is for the devotees. With 7 other hands, she's ready to chop your head off. Yeah. So in this case, she has no such blessing for Kansa. Instead, she has the fist of punishment that I'm going to punish you. I remember in the 90s, my parents used to bring home these, you're too young for this, but VCR, like video cassettes, right? Videotapes. And we used to have a VCR, okay? And so back in the days, when, I'm just telling you a side story here, every parent wants their kid to be cultured, not forget India, especially when they first come from India. They're like, enroll them into this class and put them in, send them to the temple, do anything to make them not whitewashed. Anyhow, so in any case, so my parents did the same. So they'd bring home these cassettes. Back in the day, there was no YouTube, there's no internet, live on demand, click, get the whatever you want. Back in the day, you had to go to the Indian store, which was like 20 miles away, and you'd rent cassettes every time you wanted them. Does anybody remember this? For those of you who've been in Houston, at least. All right, so I remember this so vividly. They put a $50 deposit into the shop, and that way the shop owner knows you're not going to steal the cassette. Then every time you rented a cassette, you'd give $1 or $2 back in the day. So they'd rent the cassettes, and we would watch these serials, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Krishna, and that was our way of kind of teaching us back when we were kids. So it was, the cassettes would release every Tuesday. And remember, there's many Indian families, not just ours, right? So the guy would make like 5 or 10 copies of the cassettes. He would do it illegally, of course. And he'd make the copies, and then he'd rent them out for $1 a piece. If you weren't there on time, you lost your chance for that week. Then you'd have to wait till the next week, and you're out for the cassette for the week. Anyway, I'm just going on a tangent here. We get the cassettes. I remember so specifically seeing this scene in that Krishna serial. And when Durga Devi comes up, she tells Kans something, and I know it's not in the Puranas, but I'll never forget it. She says, "Hey manda buddhi dusht." And I was just like, imagine a kid seeing an 8-armed lady with swords and everything. You're just like, so, and then she calls him a dusht. And I remember my dad cracking up like anything, and I being scared out of my mind, like, is there such a thing in our culture that there's this 8-armed lady who's going to come and kill you? And if we do anything wrong, if I ever kill a child, I'll be in so much trouble. Anyhow, so Durga Devi then insults, I'm sorry, this is just a vivid childhood memory. Anyhow, me and my brother are shocked through our minds. Mom and dad are laughing and really happy. So she comes in the air. Durga Devi then appears and she chastises Kans. And she tells him, "Oh Kans, you are so vicious you would even kill a girl. You have no shame. Not only would you commit a crime, you would commit the worst crime of all by killing a girl." And Kans is just looking at her, shocked, what is happening to me? And he knows this is Devi. After all, even the demons know about Durga Devi. They worship her too. So she's appearing from him, chastising him, kicks him such that his crown falls off. He's laying on the ground and seeing this, and then she gives him many instructions. You are such a vicious person. You are a villain. You should control yourself. Don't kill any more girls ever again. And don't harass the Yadu dynasty family. She tells him so many instructions. And he's just, Han Devi, Ha Devi, Ha Devi, trying to save his life. Now, then the Devi disappears. And then Kans makes it up in his mind that, okay, I will no longer be a criminal. Can you believe? He then says, I will no longer do such atrocious activities. And he goes straight down to the jail cell of Vasudeva and Devaki, and he begs for forgiveness. He falls at their feet and says, "Oh, sister, whatever," and he's so clever, "whatever happened has happened due to karma. But now I am going to be a better person. Don't fear, I will not keep you in this jail cell any longer. I will never ever harm you, and I will protect you as my dear sister." Because he knows she's the mother of that Devi. He's worried about that. "So please forgive me. Don't call her ever again. I will not do anything atrocious anymore." And Devaki, knowing very well that her son is very fine, "Oh, Kans, my dear brother, no problem. Whatever happened, happened. You please now take care of yourself and let us be, let us go." So he actually releases Vasudeva and Devaki from the prison. And he no longer does any such atrocious activities. Now, of course, in the next class, then we'll discuss why Kans goes back to becoming a demon once again. So, in this way, the chapter, The Birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa, ends, and it ends with this scene that Durga Devi has chastised Kans, and Kans then frees Vasudeva and Devaki. Now, our Gurudev, when he described any pastimes of the Lord, he never ended on anything from Mathura for sure, but he definitely didn't end on a negative note. He always ended with some dose of sweetness, because after all, a Brajavasi, he's always flowing with sweetness in his heart. So in that same way, we'll try also to end here with a bit of sweetness. So I'd like to share with you all a pastime I heard from my śikṣā-guru. Credit to him, of course, for whatever I say next. And he describes this verse that is from Śrī Padyāvalī. Padyāvalī is a book by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī compiling so many verses from various poets. Now, poets are described to be full of emotion. After all, for if you're writing poetry, it means that you have a very soft heart. So Rūpa Gosvāmī, being a poet himself, appreciates so many other writings of various poets. And he compiles them into this book, and he calls it Padyāvalī. So this verse that we're going to sing today is a verse from that Padyāvalī. But let's give some background. Now, while this is going on in Mathura, simultaneously great joy is happening in Vrindavan. And as Krishna is being raised by Mother Yaśodā and being raised by Nanda Baba, he does Naravat Leela, that is human-like pastimes. Now, Didi, when your son came out in the hospital, you were very happy. But then when you took him home, then you realized, now I'm a mother and I have some responsibilities. I can't just bask in joy and happiness. What are you doing? What are some of the things that a mother, maybe Prabhu you can share because you recently had a child. What does a mother do? How does she feel when her child is just born? Okay. Above and beyond. And every mother is ready to go above and beyond for the pleasure of their child. And they're so concerned that, oh, is the boy fed on time? Is the boy sleeping well? And etc. But on the other hand, is the boy so concerned about the mother at that point? Not at all. The boy is concerned only for himself. Mama, I'm hungry. Mama, I'm sleepy. Mama, I want this, I want that. Just from birth, they're immediately like this. Is that right? And then, of course, in my case, life switches all of a sudden, and then you become the other side. But all your life, you're only concerned about yourself. Is that right, Krishna? Selfish children. In any case, boys especially. Now, our dear Śrī Krishna, he is no different. He is also concerned about his only himself. So, as a child, as a baby, here it's showing a little bit like a toddler. But as a baby, Krishna is only concerned about getting what he wants. Now, Sumi Didi, when a child wants something and doesn't get it, what do? They cry. And do they cry like an ordinary? How do they cry? Ah! Yeah. And until they get it, they don't stop crying, right? So recently we tried to wean my son off a pacifier. Oh Lord, many days it took for him to forget that piece of silicone pacifier. Now similarly, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he is always desirous of being fed by his mother. Now he also, as Bhagavan, wants to enjoy that ras, that vatsalya ras, that mood of Mother Yaśodā. And that mood of Mother Yaśodā comes in the form of her breast milk. So this verse is describing what Krishna, when Mother Yaśodā is nursing Śrī Kṛṣṇa on her breast, then what is Śrī Kṛṣṇa thinking and what is Mother Yaśodā thinking? So let's sing this verse. I'll give the first line and then Krishna, you take over. Okay? Ardhon milita lochanasya pivata paryaptam ekam stanam. Oh, no. This is poetry, dear devotees. This is not Ardhon militan. No. Ardhon milita lochanasya pivata paryaptam ekam stanam. Sadhya prasnuta dugdam digdam aparam hastena sammarjata matra changuli lalitasya vadane smerayamane muhu Vishnu kshira kanordhama davala Danta Dyuti Patuva. So this verse has been written by a poet named Sri Mangala, and Rūpa Gosvāmī compiled this in Padyāvalī. And here, Ardhon Milita Lochanasya Pivata, that, dear mothers, for those of you who have nursed their children, then you may remember a night where the child just doesn't stop crying. No matter what you do, they don't stop crying. Whether you try to caress them, whether you try to rock them, whether you try to pat them, whether you try to do anything, they don't stop crying. Similarly, our Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he's doing the same. And he's crying and crying non-stop. And for those of you, remember, in that time in Braj, it was joint families. We didn't live separately, right? Everybody lived jointly. So the mother was also concerned that, please, chup ho ja, be quiet, dear child. Everyone will wake up. So she's trying to do anything to quiet the child, pacify the child, but the child is uncontrolled. So when the child is uncontrolled, ardhon milita lochanasya pivata. That is, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is rocking in the lap of Mother Yaśodā, and his eyes are half open, but he's crying. And why is he crying? Paryaptam ekam stanam. What does he want? Mother Yaśoda's stan, her breast, because he's very, very hungry. Now, when Mother Yaśodā, she then begins to breastfeed the child, Krishna is unhappy with just drinking from one breast. Now, in this world, breast milk flows from a mother's single breast. But in Mother Yaśoda's case, because of her vatsalya bhav, her extreme affection for her child, then milk begins flowing from both breasts. So sadhya prasnuta dugdam digdam aparam. That is, Śrī Kṛṣṇa then, he's drinking very happily from one breast, and he says, this is my property. This is what I want. And then Mother Yaśodā, milk begins flowing from the other breast, and then Krishna becomes very concerned. He says, wait, I don't want my property to go to waste. I cannot let both of them flow without me taking all of it. So he's eagerly desirous of also taking the milk, but he has only one mouth. What to do? So then it's described, hastena sammarjata. Didi, have you sang Guru Ashtakam? Mandir marjanado. What does that mean? Marjanado, cleaning. So he takes his very beautiful, soft, lotus-like small hands and he begins trying to grab the milk from the other breast. So he can drink here and drink there. What do they say? Have your cake. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Similarly, but Krishna, he's the Supreme Lord. He wants to have both. Now, when Mother Yaśodā, she's seeing, imagine, she's seeing her child drinking her breast milk, she's experiencing great pleasure, but then she sees his hand going to her other breast. And she thinks, oh, my dear son, he's caressing me. He's having loving affection towards me. So she is hastena, she begins laughing, but him, he's thinking, how do I clean this? How do I take this in order to drink more milk? Then what happens? Matra changuli lalitasya vadane. Matra cha ungali. Ungli kya matlab? Fingers. So if you remember, dear mothers, when your child is there drinking the breast milk, then you may also take 2 fingers and Matra, the mother, changuli. She takes her 2 fingers and she begins caressing the chin of Shri Kṛṣṇa. And what happens when she begins caressing him? Smerayamane muhur. He begins with his with his face, he begins smiling like a million moons. So this is the middle of the night. She's finally getting her son to go back to sleep after feeding him, calming him down. And then what does the poet say here? Vishnu Kshira Kanor Dhama. That is, oh, this Leela, this pastime is being done by none other than Bhagavan, Vishnu himself. After all, Krishna is non-different from Bhagavan. But how amazing, how beautiful that our Bhagavan, he is Vishnu. He begins smiling when his mother caresses him. And when he smiles, because he's just a few months old, what happens? 2 teeth come up. 2 teeth. Those of you who have seen Radha Raman, you'll see that he has also 2 teeth. And these 2 teeth are known as the milk teeth. Right? Am I right? When a child gets their first 2 teeth, they're known as the milk teeth. And oftentimes they're right here in the middle, like a buck-toothed child. So when Krishna is smiling, Mother Yaśodā sees those 2 teeth, and the poet is commenting, these 2 teeth, that is, danta dyuti patuva, those danta, those 2 teeth, what are they? After all, he is non-different from Vishnu, that these 2 teeth are as bright and white as Kshira Kanor. That is, Lord Vishnu as Bhagavan. He is lying down on Shesha. And what is he doing? He is lying down on the ocean of milk. So that Bhagavan who's lying on the ocean of milk, that same Bhagavan has 2 milk teeth. Even though he has unlimited supply of milk where he is lying, still he's so eager to have just the small amount of breast milk from his mother. How amazing, how beautiful that our Shri Krishna in Vrindavan, he does not behave like this Vishnu. Because does Vishnu cry? Sridhar Prabhu, have you ever seen Vishnu cry? No? Does Vishnu ever go to sleep, Didi? No? He is doing yoga nidra. You see his eyes closing because he's meditating on, oh, okay, the universe is inside me, I am the creator of the universe, etc. But he never falls asleep. But our Shri Krishna in Vrindavan, does he cry? Radha? He cries, and he cries a lot. And does he sleep after being fed from the same milk that he has unlimited supply over there? He's just drinking a small amount and he is falling asleep. So the poet ends with Danta Dyuti Patuva. You may remember many months ago, we ended also a similar shloka, a similar couplet that ended with Patuva. And that is, may these 2 milk teeth, Dantya Dyuti, do dant jo hai unke, Patuva, may those 2 teeth bless you. Now, Didi, why would those 2 teeth bless you?
We have heard this.
Yes? Why would the 2 teeth bless you? Why is the poet saying, may those 2 teeth bless you? Because,
Extracting the
okay? That's also there. But because when we hear these verses, then all of you have painted some picture in your heart. Is that right? You have painted some picture in your heart. You have put this imagery that mothers are struggling with their child. Mother Yaśodā is struggling with Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And finally, upon drinking her breast milk, then he becomes pacified. Similarly, at the time of death, if somehow this painting comes within our heart and we close our eyes for the final time in this life, then the next time we open our eyes, what will happen? We will be present in that particular pastime also. So not only can we relish the pastime in this body, our sadhaka deha, when we are performing our bhajan. Some people ask, what do we think of when we're chanting Hare Krishna? Well, Gurudev says, Nam, first you think of the name, then you think of Rupa, the form, and then his qualities. But finally, we have to come to some point where we also meditate on the Leela, that is the pastimes of our beautiful Śrī Kṛṣṇa. So in this way, Śrī Rūpa Gosvāmī is compiling this beautiful poetry. Krishna, can you read the translation?
His eyes half open, Krishna is drinking his mother's breast milk. While sucking one breast, which is quite sufficient to satisfy his hunger, he fondles the other, from which some drops are already oozing due to his mother's affection. Yaśodā lovingly pulls at his chin, causing him to smile and show his tiny milk teeth, which are wider than her breast milk. May the wonderful effulgence coming from Vishnu's teeth protect you from all darkness and evil.
All right, so in this way, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is relishing the rasa of Mother Yaśoda's love, and Mother Yaśodā is also relishing the love of her dear son. So we'll conclude here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. If anything good has been said, you can see it's just copy and paste of all the previous acharyas. If any mistake, it's certainly my own misinterpretation. Hare Krishna. Yes, Radha, you had a question? What do fathers do? What do fathers do to their son? And what is Nanda Baba always concerned about? So when Nanda Baba then performs Indra Puja and Krishna gives him so many arguments, what is Nanda Maharaj worried about? Beta, aise nahi bolna. Don't do this. Bahut bade devta hai wo. Right? So father is like this. He is trying to groom his son to become a good cowherd, prince, king one day.
But for a father in this material world, how should he?
In this material world.
In this material world, mothers are, I guess mothers and fathers both here were able to paint the picture of what we had just read and what was just described. But when they meditate, should they also meditate on this exactly, or in the mood of what the fatherly mood should be?
So those who have Vatsalya Ras, they will relish such pastimes. Yeah? During this pastime also, when we read about various pastimes, there are many things happening simultaneously. Today we talked about the mood of Yaśodā Maiyyā and Krishna. But present when she's feeding her child are many other devotees too, right? Her sakhis, her friends, the nurses that help her, yeah? And also, maybe not at night, but when she feeds him during the day, then who else may show up at Nanda Bhavan? Even the little gopis of Braj also, because they're also curious to see, oh, where is that young boy, the son of Nanda? And they're peering from, just like little girls are shy, right? They're very shy to show any love in front of their elders. Is that right? When we were young, we fell in love with a girl or a boy. Did we tell our parents the first day? Yeah? No. Did we tell our parents the second day? Probably not. Did we tell our parents the 30th day? Only when it was like, really have to tell them, then we told them, yeah? Similarly, the young gopis of Braj, they're also very shy in front of their elders. Remember, this is 5,000 years ago. This isn't today's zamana where, hey mom, by the way, I'm going on a date tonight. Yeah, it's not like that. So they're also peering from behind the pillar. And they're saying, oh, look at my beloved Nandanandan. Then there's so many other angles. There's another pastime where Mother Yaśodā is giving a bath to Kṛṣṇa. She notices that he has a lot of scratches because he's gone to the forest. This is when he's older. He's gone to the forest to tend to the cows, right? So in the forest, there's bushes, trees, and they're playing, they're running around, you get scratched up. Now, Mother Yaśodā thinks that my son has gotten scratched up from playing too much. But the gopis are thinking completely different. One day we'll talk about that. Same pastime, different dress. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I also remember the beaches.
Sorry?
I said I was joking and I was saying I also remember the beaches coming and
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I remember when the episode was shown, when Canto was there, I think Lord Maiyyā told him that person who's going to kill you has
It's already taken birth. Yes, she does say this. Yes, I'm sorry, I missed this. She also, in the Bhagavatam, it's also written like this. The eighth son has already taken birth. You missed him. Yes, correct.
It doesn't say that.
No, she doesn't tell. No. Anything else? All right, we'll finish for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Gurudev ki